Before Grace and Yemi got married, they had always planned that they would have a child in the first year of their marriage, especially since Yemi was an only child and his mother desperately needed a grandchild. Unfortunately, in the first year of their marriage, Grace could not conceive. At first, when Grace did not conceive immediately, she wasn't worried because she believed she would get pregnant in the second year. But when the second year passed and nothing happened, she became very worried. Towards the third year of her marriage, Grace began seeking help from different specialists at prestigious hospitals, but no one could find anything wrong. By the third year of their marriage, Grace's mother-in-law had moved into her house and she made life hell for Grace. Grace's mother-in-law would call Grace all sorts of degrading and mean names, and every time this happened, Grace would burst into tears. "You barren witch! You think I do not know that you used your children for wealth? Eh? I knew it from the first day I met you. But let me tell you something. Your spell on my son will be broken. If you really want to give me something, give me a grandchild, not food." Yemi's mother said to Grace, then walked out of the room. That morning, Yemi had gone to work as usual, leaving only Grace and his mother at home. Knowing that her mother-in-law would be hungry, Grace went to ask her what she would love for breakfast, and her mother-in-law began to yell at her. After her mother-in-law walked out on her, Grace burst into tears and called her mother Ebube. "Mom, I don't think I can take this anymore. I am tired. Is something wrong with me? I have tried everything I can to get pregnant, but nothing is happening. You gave birth to me. Why can't I give birth to someone too?" Grace cried. "My baby, I have told you to stop worrying yourself. God is the one who blesses women with children. When the time comes, He will bless you too," Ebube said. "Okay, Mom. Thank you for your kind words. I have heard you. I know that I will give you a grandchild one day," Grace said as she wiped her tears. 2 days after Grace's mother-in-law insulted Grace, something unexpected happened that cost Grace her marriage. That evening, Grace was in the kitchen cooking dinner for the family when her mother-in-law entered the kitchen to abuse Grace as usual for not giving her a grandchild. "Look at you. All you do in this house is eat and sleep. If you are not shopping with your stupid mother, you are either eating or sleeping," Grace's mother-in-law said. "Now get out of this kitchen. I want to cook something delicious for my son. Hopefully, his eyes will become clear after he eats my food," Grace's mother-in-law added. "Mama, this is my kitchen and I'm not going anywhere. If you want to cook for your son, then you can wait. When I finish, you can come and cook whatever you want," Grace said. "Foolish girl. You are talking back at me, eh?" Grace's mother-in-law said. Then she pushed the pot of soup from the cooker and emptied it on the floor. "Mama, what did you do?" Grace yelled in anger. Immediately Grace yelled, her mother-in-law began to scream and cry dramatically. "Hey! Hey! She has beaten me, oh! She slapped me just because I showed her the right way to cook, oh! Hey! Hey! Hey!" Grace's mother-in-law yelled. Almost immediately, Yemi ran into the kitchen when he heard the scream and he saw his mother crying. "Mama, what happened?" Yemi asked in a concerned voice. The whole time, Grace was speechless because she didn't even understand what was happening. "Hey, it's Grace, oh, your wife. I came into the kitchen to show her how to cook, oh, and she slapped me and poured the soup on the floor. Hey!" Yemi's mother lied. Babe, that's not true. I didn't touch your mother. You know I would never do a thing like that. Grace tried to defend herself, but Yemi refused to listen. Because of the lies Yemi's mother told against Grace, her marriage ended. Despite Grace's pleas, Yemi still left her and moved out of the house Ebube had gifted them. When this happened, Grace was so heartbroken and devastated that she couldn't live alone in the big mansion, so she had to move back to her mother's house. Meanwhile, around the same time Grace was having issues with her marriage, Gloria had returned to Nigeria and she had also met a man named Chukwudi. While studying abroad, Gloria met Chukwudi through a friend. After they both completed their studies, they returned to Nigeria together. Since Chukwudi and Gloria had been dating before they returned, they didn't take long before they married. About 4 months after the two lovebirds returned, they tied the knot. Unfortunately, 2 years into her marriage, Gloria could not conceive too. She ran multiple tests in different hospitals and even took herbs to help her conceive, but nothing worked. Sadly, 2 years after her marriage, Gloria and Chukwudi divorced because Gloria found out that her mother-in-law had picked a wife for Chukwudi in his village and she was already 3 months pregnant for him. Just like her older sister Grace, Gloria returned to her mother's house to live there. My daughters, I don't know why you both are so worried. I know I'm not supposed to say this, but you both don't really need men. You have everything you want. Look at me. Have you seen me kill myself because a man left me? Never, Ebube said. In the past years, I have been with a lot of men, but I'm not bothered if they stay or go. Ebube added, But Mom, we were both married and divorced. Don't you think that's a problem? Grace asked. The worst is that we were both divorced for the same reason, Grace added. Look, my angels, you are still very young and you have enough time to give birth to the number of babies you want. More men will come to you and you will select the ones you like, Ebube said. Mom, I loved Yemi so much. And even though it's been 2 years, I can't stop thinking about him. Grace said in a teary voice. You better forget about Yemi, because he's in the past now. Instead, open your heart to other men. I am your mother, and I earnestly believe that both of you will give me grandchildren when the time is right, Ebube said. Thanks, Mom, Grace and Gloria said in unison. Even though Ebube would smile often and try to cheer up her divorced daughters, deep down, she was very heartbroken. She knew she was responsible for her daughters' inability to conceive and their failed marriages. On some nights, Ebube would cry to bed because she couldn't stand watching her daughters hurt. After all these years, I didn't think I would feel this horrible because of the decision I made years ago, Ebube said to her friend Chinasa. My dear friend, at this point, there is nothing you can do to help those girls. You gave them a good life, one they would never have had if you didn't do what you did, Chinasa said. But was it worth it? I don't think it was worth it. Yes, I'm happy we had a mansion over our heads. We could travel the world and even eat whatever we wanted. But that happiness is nothing compared to the burden I carry inside me, Ebube said in a teary voice. What if they find out that I'm responsible for their barrenness? Ebube added. How will they know if you do not tell them? Remember, you must never tell anyone, or there will be consequences. Just try your best to cheer them up. Convince them that they do not really need children now. Do your possible best to take their minds off their failed marriage, Chinasa said. My friend, believe me, I have tried, but it's not that easy. They are no longer children and they have their own minds, Ebube said. I'm afraid there's nothing you can do for them. If something like this happens again in the future, then you will have to convince them to adopt a child, Chinasa said. I have heard you. I just wish there was another way I could help them, Ebube cried. There isn't, and you have to live with it, Chinasa said. 9 months after Ebube advised Grace and Gloria, Grace got married to a man named Inse, whom she had been talking to for months. They met each other on social media, and after chatting for a month, they decided to take things to the next level. When Grace got married to her second husband, she wanted more than anything to get pregnant in the first year of her marriage. But unfortunately, that never happened. In the second year of her marriage, when Grace realized that she was about to end the year again with no fruit of the womb, she was very heartbroken. Luckily for Grace, Inse's mother, her mother-in-law, was a very good woman and she loved Grace. For once, her mother-in-law never bothered her about getting pregnant and she never mentioned anything about grandchildren. One day, Grace was at home crying when her mother-in-law showed up at her house unannounced. My daughter, what is it? Why are you crying? Grace's mother-in-law asked in a concerned voice. Oh, Mama, it's nothing. I am fine, Grace lied. Grace, you know I am also your mother, and you can talk to me about anything, Grace's mother-in-law said. It's nothing, Mama, Grace said while holding back her tears. Unfortunately, she couldn't, so she ended up telling her mother-in-law everything. She told her mother-in-law about her first marriage and how it ended because she couldn't conceive, and how she was afraid her second marriage would end too. My daughter, why didn't you say anything all this while? We would have looked for a solution together, Grace's mother-in-law said. Mama, not to sound pessimistic, but I have searched everywhere. But there is no solution. If God doesn't help me, then I don't know what to do again, Grace said in a teary voice. Don't worry, my daughter. I know what to do. I will take you to a church tomorrow. I have seen many people in your situation testify about how they were childless for many years, but were blessed with children. Grace's mother-in-law said. Thank you so much, Mama, Grace said. The next day, Grace followed her mother-in-law to the church and they met the man of God. Man of God, this is my daughter-in-law. She is the one I told you about on the phone, Grace's mother-in-law said to the man of God. You are welcome. Please, let's bow our heads in prayer, the man of God said. Then he began to pray for Grace. While praying for Grace, the man of God saw a vision about her and he told Grace about it. My daughter, while I was praying for you, the Lord showed me a vision about you. Where is your mother? The man of God asked. She's at home, sir, Grace answered. Your mother is very wealthy, right? God showed me that she is a wealthy woman, the man of God said. Yes, sir, she is, Grace answered innocently. My dear, it is quite sad to say that your mother is the root of all your problems. Did she ever tell you how she got so wealthy? The man of God said. No, we never asked. I just assumed it was her businesses that gave her all that money, Grace answered in a confused tone. When you leave this place, take your sister to your mother's house and ask her about the source of her wealth. When she answers you, all of your problems will end, the man of God said. Thank you, sir. Grace thanked the man of God before leaving with her mother-in-law. Immediately, Grace stepped out of the church. She called her sister Gloria to ask if she was at home. When Gloria said yes, she told Gloria to wait for her, that she was coming over. Luckily for Grace, she got to her mother's house before she stepped out. In fact, Ebube was just about to go out when Grace entered the compound. Mom, there's something important I want to discuss with you and Gloria. Please come inside, Grace said, and Ebube innocently followed her. Grace, what is it? Why did you tell me to wait for you? Gloria asked. Gloria, I went to a church with my mother-in-law today, and the pastor revealed something to me about Mom. He said Mom is the cause of all our problems, and we should ask her about the source of her wealth, Grace said. The pastor also said that when Mom answers, all of our problems will end, Grace added. Mom, is it true? Are you the cause of our problems? Gloria turned to Ebube. Immediately Ebube heard the question. She began to cry. Mom, please tell me that man of God was lying. Are you really the cause of our problems? Grace said in a teary voice, but Ebube did not answer. Instead, she kept crying. Mom, what is the source of your wealth? Grace yelled. My daughters, I am so sorry. I did it because of you guys. I wanted to give you a better life. Ebube said in a teary voice. I don't understand you. What did you do? Gloria asked. I swear, I didn't know what I was doing. I sold your... Ebube stuttered. What did you sell? Grace yelled. I sold your wombs to the devil in exchange for riches. And I'm so sorry. I didn't know it would be like this. Ebube cried. You did what? Gloria screamed. So this whole time, you have been the reason we couldn't conceive? Mom! You're wicked! Gloria said in a teary voice. Please, my daughters. I didn't know what I was getting myself into. I just wanted to give you girls a better life. You had suffered too much. Ebube tried to defend herself. A better life? You call being barren a better life? Grace screamed at Ebube. Almost immediately, something unexpected happened. Ebube began laughing, and then she began to take off her clothes. This skirt is hot. Mom, what are you doing? Gloria asked, but she didn't get a response. It didn't take long before Grace and Gloria realized that Ebube had gone mad. But before they could hold her down and call for help, it was already too late. Ebube had already escaped out of the house and ran into the streets. However, despite everything Grace and Gloria did to find Ebube, they couldn't find her. It was almost like she disappeared into thin air. Surprisingly, after Ebube confessed to Grace and Gloria, Grace got pregnant for the first time in almost 7 years. 9 months later, she gave birth to twins, a boy and a girl. As for Gloria, when she eventually got married years later, she got pregnant in the first year of her marriage and gave birth to a healthy baby boy. No one ever saw Ebube again, and until their old age, Grace and Gloria could not forgive their mother for what she did to them. The end. Did you enjoy this story? Tell us your favorite parts in the comment section below. Please like, share and subscribe to our channel. Also, do not forget to follow our channel on Facebook and Instagram. Thank you.